Go to what number? 25, is it?
And then
24.
Then people wanted to go to 24 because we have Julian and the auditor waiting.
That's the one in the...
So which one?
Where is it? What number is it?
Number 25.
Number 10.
Item number 25 in the supplementary agenda on page...
Page 6, 5.
Right.
Yeah,
649.
649.
Okay, welcome, Di. Is it just you and Peter? Just you guys? Or is Julian coming? Right. Okay, so just so you know where we are, guys, we're in the annual report, and it is Christchurch City Council annual report for the year ended 30 June 2014, page 649 in your supplementary. Okay, all good? Welcome. Di, Julian, whoever. Okay, do you guys want to say anything? No?
No.
Nobody else
Good
does,
afternoon.
Yes, that was good.
Would you like me to start with a run through of a summary of the annual report, and then offer the opportunity for
I'm assuming everybody's read it. How would you like to handle it, guys? Do you want a summary from Peter first and then ask questions, or? Yeah. Okay. Yes, they would like that. Thank you, Peter.
Okay. And also with the regrettable absence of Ms Sheldon today, she couldn't make it today, but she did want me to pass on a couple of messages, in particular to make it clear that it was councillors' duty to consider the annual report, make sure that it gives a true and fair view of the performance, financial position and cash flows of the council and group, and that all material factors, including risks and uncertainties, have been adequately disclosed. And the second point that was from the financial statements, would the external user obtain a complete and unbiased understanding of the financial performance, financial position and cash flows of the council and group. So that's direct from the chair of the Audit and Risk Management Committee. With respect to the memo you have in front of you, page 649 or item 25, and the attachment, the report represents the annual report of the Christchurch City Council for the year ended 30 June 2014. And it's coming to the committee for its approval and it's now coming to the council for its approval and recommendation to adopt, and we'll get to the recommendations shortly. Under Section 98 of the Local Government Act, we must prepare and adopt an annual report in respect of each financial year. Each annual report must be completed and adopted by resolution within 4 months after the end of the financial year, which is getting close, and within 1 month after the adoption, the local authority must make publicly available the annual report and also a summary of the information, just in case people don't want to read the full 300-page opus. So the annual report itself is attached as attachment 1. We do actually have now, and subsequent to this being forwarded on, opinions from Audit Office. We also have the audit opinion, so that's on page 655 of the supplementary agenda, and we also have the letter of representation, that's on page 661. So Audit New Zealand attended the committee to answer questions, and they're also here for that as well, and I suggest that directors and councillors would like to ask them their view on the results as we get through there. The operating results I will take as read at this point, but I would call you to a few clauses. 3.1.3. So in prior years, the financial impact of the earthquake has been, the earthquakes have been separately disclosed, but this is now considered to be part of the council operations, so we don't disclose that separately at this point. In terms of 3.2, financial position, the statement of financial position shows a strong position, total assets of 9.1 billion and net assets of 7.9 billion. So this net asset position is 0.6 billion, better than planned, and principally due to the revaluation of our subsidiaries, the net revaluation movement of property, plant and equipment, and a higher than expected increase in work in progress, WIP, as the rebuild of the city continues. If I take you to 335, so I'm skipping through on highlights just to reinforce what everyone will have already read. The Council's inability to revalue its infrastructure assets and land and buildings has been one of the major factors in the qualified audit opinions received for the last 3 years. And this year is no different on that inability to revalue, although the asset revaluation program has recommenced with water supply and marine structure assets. Those have been revalued in 2014, but there remains a level of uncertainty on the other main asset classes. In section 3.4, Crown and Insurance Funding, if I bring you to 3.4.6, the Earthquake Commission made a further progress payment of $17.3 million during the year, in addition to the $21 million received in 2012, and these funds are being put towards the repair and rebuild of the social housing units. 3.5.2, the Letter of Representation. To support the signing of the Letter of Representation and the Statement of Compliance by the Mayor and Chief Executive, an internal sign-off process has been undertaken. So I just thought I'd let you know what that process was and what it covered. It was a covering sign-off from staff on compliance, assets such as cash, inventories, receivables, investments, property, plant and equipment, liabilities, tax, financial performance, financial instruments, and the degree to which we would confirm that the council is a going concern. So all of those aspects were undertaken, reviewed and signed off by staff as a flow up and a cascade to allow the sign off that's required under that letter of representation. And that goes to the ability of councillors to understand whether it's a true and fair representation. Financial ratios and benchmarks. The council has 5 financial ratios. They form the key part of the financial risk management strategy, and all 5 actual results fell within the policy limits. So that was all fine. There was also a number of financial prudence benchmarks which are subscribed by the Local Government Financial Reporting Amendment Regulation 2013, and these set a number of benchmarks in addition to our 5 key ratios, and the council met all but 3 of those 13. These were rates affordability, rates increases affordability, and this benchmark compares the year-on-year percentage increase in rates. So the reason it missed was because the previous year's rates were lower than expected, so the year-on-year increase was greater than expected. Debt affordability, total borrowing benchmark. Council's financial strategy set a limit on its borrowing for 13 and 14, and we exceeded this benchmark in 2013 as a result of pre-funding in June 2013 a debt which matured early in the 2013-14 year. And it was also exceeded at 30 June 14 due to $101.5 million of unplanned borrowing which was on-lent to CCHL at a margin slightly higher than that paid by council. And the third one there is the operations control benchmark. Council's net operating cash flows were not equal to or greater than planned, as the operating cash flows in the plan included cash flows from insurance and Crown recoveries. These have been more correctly classified as investing in the financial statements. So in essence, we had that in the wrong place in the plan. If it had been in the right place, we understand that benchmark would have been met. So 4.2.2, Audit New Zealand has advised they'll issue a modified audit report for 2014. The auditor's report will include an except for opinion because of the scale and continued uncertainty of the extent of the damage to the council's assets. This is an improvement on the previous opinions which have been disclaimer opinions. So now rather than disclaimer we've got an except for. And I'd ask Audit New Zealand to speak to that when I get a chance. Or when they get a chance, sorry. So Auditor New Zealand were unable to obtain sufficient audit evidence around the carrying value of land, buildings, roading network, sewage system and the stormwater system, the revaluation of water supply assets relating to the prior reporting periods. So that's an important aspect because we did revalue that during the year. The carrying value of insurance receivables recognised in the financial statements, and the capital WIP balance recognised in the financial statements. All issues which I believe most councillors, if not all, will be aware of. 4.2.3 is a very important paragraph. The modified opinion does not reflect on the council's financial management or its ability to fund the rebuild of its infrastructure. It simply reflects the fundamental uncertainty around the actual value of its assets. including projects that should be transferred from work in progress and the full extent of earthquake damage to them. Staff recommendation, I would skip over and go straight to the committee recommendation now for council, as that is the one that will be in front of you, and then we'll pass back to Julian. So the recommendations from the committee, that the council note that the committee has reviewed the 14 annual report and notes that it will receive a modified audit report on the basis that the council, due to the consequences of the 10/11 earthquakes, cannot account for its property, plant and equipment in accordance with current accounting standards. Excellent. So I want to ask Julian. I think Julian first.
It depends on how difficult they are.
Quite fair. Well, I'll tell you what, you speak now and then we'll send the hard ones to him and the easy ones to you, Julian. How would that be?
I think Peter's given a pretty comprehensive picture of the challenges that we've dealt with during the audit. And it's the 4th year since the earthquakes happened that we've issued a qualified audit report. And the Auditor General for this year has taken the unusual step of writing a letter to the council, and I've got that letter with me, and I hope a copy will be circulated to the councillors today, or you might have already seen it.
It's with the pages. It's the last three
okay,
pages.
Okay.
Last couple of pages.
She has written to the council to acknowledge the efforts taken to address the impact of the earthquakes, and her commentary in that letter reflected the stages the council has been through, initially addressing the emergency repairs, making the city safe to function, and the focus then on the rebuild phase with the creation of SCIRT. And in all those stages, there have been challenges, and there will continue to be challenges until all of those matters are resolved. So in summary, even though we all issued a qualified audit report, because of the pervasive nature of those uncertainties around asset values, impairment, or quantification of damage, etc., we were still able to provide positive audit assurance over a number of matters. And just to give some examples, we were able to give positive assurance on the income streams, such as your rates, your investment income, Crown subsidies, and so on. We were able to give positive assurance on expenditure, and includes payroll and finance costs. Those are big items. And of course, we were able to give positive assurance on the council's investment in Christchurch City Holdings. And also with the statement of cash flows, other than the impact on the inability of council to analyse the work in progress, which, as you know, sits at over $1 billion at 30th of June 2014. So they were the main reasons for our qualified audit report, and there were no change really from the previous few years. The Auditor General has indicated that the qualified opinion wouldn't be resolved until all matters that relate to the earthquakes are eventually tidied up by the council. So I think that's the gist of our work. Any questions? Happy to take them.
Thank you. For those of you who are not on Audit and Risk Committee, Julian sat through the entire audit, the entire report with the Audit and Risk Committee, and we all went through it in some considerable detail. I have to say I'm very pleased that the qualified opinion has changed and moved upwards a step, and I look forward to having no tag on any part of that. But questions for Peter or Julian? Yanni?
Thank you. I was really happy to say that you could give us an audit assurance on the Crown subsidies and financial contributions. I just really wanted to understand whether you've audited the cost share, the report into the cost share that went to council, and aligned that with our financial plan.
We haven't looked into that, other than what's posted through the council's financial statements.
Right, thank you.
So that's
And so I want
how
to
can we have
hold
an
him
assurance?
to, I want you to hold him to that annual report for this year. So stuff that's not in the annual report, don't be asking Julian about. Just
No,
this.
it is in the annual report because it's based on income that's coming from the Crown, and I'm trying to understand how that
Yes.
assurance is
So
being...
what's the question, Yanni?
Is how can you give us that assurance if you haven't looked at those core source documents?
We have a signed agreement with the Crown. That's it. The information is there. They've used that information. End of story.
Was it what we just heard that they hadn't?
No, what you just heard.
The financial details of the cost-share agreement are well known. That's it. I mean, there's nothing to audit.
They're different in the report that went to council.
Okay,
So from an audit point of view,
Julian will
I'd expect that to be picked up.
aware of those and is auditing our annual report, which covers a range of things, and he's just done that. So can we move on to the next question?
Okay.
Do you have another question?
Yeah. The issue around the skirt handover seems to be coming up repeatedly. Did you... I mean, I know that it's one of the actions in here, the need for council to get detailed information from skirt. So, I mean, I don't know whether it's more a question for our staff or for the Auditor General. What I can't understand is, given that we have huge influence over skirt, we're a third partner, why we can't get up-to-date valuations on those assets that have been complete, given we're probably, 60-50%
Okay,
of the work's been
Peter,
complete.
Peter's been all over that. Do you want to answer that one, Peter?
It's a difficult question to do anything other than to agree with Councillor Johansson on. It's not a situation that is acceptable. It's going to put us in danger of another, except for opinion around the work in progress with skirt. So we continue to work with skirt to push with the degree of influence we have to resolve the issue, and it's an issue that's an end-to-end process issue. It's not as simple as what I hoped it would be, as thumping the table and asking for better performance. It's actually the whole way through the chain of the providers, the completion, the audit, to make sure that all works properly. But it's fair to say that no one's comfortable where it's at, and I don't think it's certainly not a level that I'm happy with.
So if the Auditor General picks up issues year after year and doesn't see progress, how does that get resolved? Do you audit NZTA or SERA, or do you make recommendations to those external parties, or you just keep telling us that we need to improve?
My job is to audit Christchurch City Council, and it's council's job to get the information from skirt.
That's right.
That's fair. That's a very fair response. Are there any other questions? If not, can we put the committee recommendations, moved by Raph and seconded by David? Put those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.